A couple of weeks ago, I spoke to you about freedom. Freedom for all, and the main thing, the main message was it was freedom to use this teaching and to use the spiritual mind treatment and the application of science of mind in every way to be a new version of yourself and to never be stuck being in the old version. Not that the old version of you there was anything wrong with it. Maybe that was great. Maybe I'm the only one who's ever needed to change. And if that's so, that's just the way it is. But the fact is that most of us usually want to see some kind of transformation in our lives, even if it's to deepen our own experience into our hearts. I had a lovely weekend last weekend, and I skipped town and went up to Garrison, New York, to the Garrison Institute, and went on a 3-day silent retreat. And the first night, I'm sitting by I was right on the Hudson. I didn't know that that's where I was going to land, so it was like a gift just when I got there. However, when I arrived there, they had not told me in advance as a first-time visitor, no air conditioning, no private baths, and I'd be on the third floor without an elevator. I like to know that in advance. But I was fine, and I embraced it, and I was good. Why? Because I committed to no complaining. And no gossip for the whole summer. And if you have forgotten, you might want to remember. So instead, it turned into an experience, which turned into me spending hours outside and hours walking and hours sitting in the beauty and by the river. But the first night, because I was just getting oriented, I went as close to the river as I could get, but then it's on a hill, so I was really up on a hill, and I look over and there's a little cliff there and there's a fence, and then beyond the fence I could hear a commuter train. So there's a commuter train on this side of the river, there was a cargo train on that side of the river. I now know the sounds, the differences of the trains. In case you're wondering, there's a whole different way that they show up, the way they sound in the world. And I'm watching the tugboats. I said to Neil, there must be a different name, because they weren't pulling, they were pushing. The tugboats were pushing them up the river, these raw materials to something that was upriver, and West Point was across the way, and the whole scene was just really beautiful. But I was a little frustrated because I really wanted to be near the river. And, I could see clearly I wasn't going to get to it from here. So the next day I took myself on a lovely walk in the woods, and it was stunning. It was just really beautiful. And so my mind and my desires, my heart's desire, and I want you to pay attention to that word, my heart's desire was to land by the river. And so all of a sudden I came upon a little footbridge over the train tracks. I went, oh, that's cool. So I didn't know where it was going, but I walked across the train tracks, and I realized that I can hear the river even closer. So I said, oh, I'm going to get closer. But I didn't know I was going to get up to the river. Now, I happened to be, on that particular day, wearing all white. So I was like, because I wanted to be able to sit down and take in the beauty. And, it was kind of dirty, and there was boulders. And I thought, it doesn't matter. I'm going to sit down no matter what, because I want to be here. I want to be in this space. So I kept walking, and there was this big kind of rock formation. There was paths. There was a couple paths. But there was this big rock formation that was kind of blocking the view of the river. But it looked easy to navigate, and I thought, well, maybe I'll go sit on the boulder. It might be cleaner than the raw dirt. But as I climb up over the boulder, I come upon a bench that I could not have seen from my path. And that's what happens. Now, I did not create that path. That bench, I did not put it there. Don't think I'm delusional in that way, okay? But my desire took me in that direction to find that bench for me to sit upon. Do you understand? It is not that we are creating a world by making things show up and do that. But what happens is through our desires and our willingness to consider our desires and pay attention to them, there'll be a direction we'll be given. So I'm telling you, I saw the bench and I just started to cry because now I'm right on the river and the river's lapping up against the bank, and it was so beautiful. It was so incredibly beautiful. Now that's what happens when we trust consciousness. So my goal this summer, the talk 2 weeks ago and the next two, today and next week, is to do everything I can to beg you all who do not currently have a prayer partner. I'm going to be begging you to get a prayer partner. So someone said to me today, well, I kind of do it sometimes, but in a very non-committed way. And I said, why? And first he said, well, I didn't see the value of it. Oh, okay, got it. And maybe you haven't seen it. Maybe this thing we call spiritual mind treatment and prayer is still too elusive for you. Maybe that's what it is. But I know that there is a value in having hands, meaning through at this moment a mind that I can lean into and I can rest upon. I have numerous prayer partners. We do everything around here prayerfully first. So Monday through Friday, while the summer's been a little, Dan's taken off a few days during the week, our schedule's changed a little. We start every day with spiritual mind treatment. So Neil and myself and Dan, we treat together. Unless I'm not around, then they do it. On stage on Sundays, the choir and the musicians treated. The bookstore treated. The practitioners treat in the hall on Sunday mornings for those of you who are here as volunteers, and they treat for me on Sunday morning in the meditation room. And they do this because we have the faith that says when we depend upon principle, principle takes care of us. Now, principle is a very kind of odd type of word. It's not very loving or soft or, spiritual in nature unless you really understand what it is. Principle is that thing that never changes, that you can always depend upon. It is always making itself available. I used to liken it to the 2001 Space Odyssey, 2001, right? The 2001 Space Odyssey. And there was always that black monolith. It was the constant through all time, right? That's how I think of principle. It's the constant through all time, unchanging. It means there's always a possibility, there's always a law, there's always something that you can depend upon. Now, I have a feeling, especially since a number of people walked in today, hopefully everybody has these 2 sheets of paper. If you don't, please raise your hand if you manage to sneak in without getting them. My regular students probably don't need them as much, and my practitioners certainly don't. But if you are new here, you don't come that often or whatever, you want to have and keep and utilize this information that we've taken time to prepare for you. I believe in treatment so much. It is, when there is something in your way and you want that mountain moved, you pray. If you want a sense of direction when you don't know what direction to go in, you pray. If you're not quite sure what's happening and you need this something to happen, you pray. It doesn't matter if it's personal, if it's about business. It doesn't matter if it's you want a new love in your life or that you want a bigger bottom dollar. It doesn't matter. When you don't know what to do, do nothing but surrender into the hands of the One. That's what we do here. When there is an issue, and many times Carly has a grandson who's been in need of our spiritual support numerous times, whose name I can't not remember right now. Dylan, thank you. She texts us, we text each other, and suddenly her grandbaby is surrounded in prayer. That's what we do around here. That's how we support each other. That in other ways, but we support each other in the flash of an eye that way. Now, some of you might be questioning some of the changes we've made recently I know you've never before heard us say that the spiritual mind treatment is for a love offering. And this was a very conscious choice to make this difference. And that is so that there's value. No one has to give more than they want to or than they're capable of. You hear that? Never more than you want to or that you're capable of. But there must be an energetic exchange of value and energy, something. And we were discussing this morning. If any one of us thinks we do not have something to give, is that not a problem in and of itself? If you think you don't have something to offer, how little do you think you have in the world? And I'm not talking cash. I'm talking about even time or a gift or an energy or a compliment. We all have something. And it is in the givingness, and it is in the exchange, and it is in the going back and forth with that we lean into a presence and a power and a love that lifts our lives always. Always. I have 3 regular prayer partners, and then Neil and I, we treat all the time. We treat all the time. So basically, I have I'm marrying a prayer partner. And it's good to be in relationship with someone with whom I could be in spiritual practice. Not a requirement. I understand that that's not across the board. But it's a great thing to have. So in wanting to do this for us, I've changed some of the terminology just so you can lean into it a little bit more in case it was in your way. So we're calling this Partners in Possibility. I would like us to cultivate all of us to cultivate partners in possibility. And what that simply means is when I talk to you and I say, Elaine, can you know this for me? And Elaine looks at me and she goes, yeah, I can know that for you. Imagine a community, whether it's your immediate community within your home, within your relationship, or here in this community where every time you look at someone and you need them to know something for you, that you look at them and they say, yeah, I can know that for you. I want you to can you get that feeling? Can you get the sense of how comforting that is, how reassuring that is? So what we have done is we have given you pretty much, I want you to understand, people come to classes for 2 years. I ask people to give me 2 years to fully train them. Today I have 25 minutes. You figure it out, okay? But we are giving you everything that I believe you need to get started with these 2 sheets of paper. On the piece of paper that says Partners in Possibility, okay, on the left is a very simplified instructions. Now, there are a number of different steps that happen in spiritual mind treatment. Here I am teaching you the 5 steps. Great system. If some of you are saying, well, you always taught us 7, for now we're teaching 5, okay? And so there you have the steps, the elements, I should say, and then next to the elements are the examples. Next to that, I provided guidelines for partnerships. Now, I've been doing this a long time. I need you to trust me when I tell you a few things. And you'll have an opportunity today to meet somebody new and to start up a prayer partnership, a partnership in possibility. If on the call, because you're going to call each other, don't strain your brain thinking, oh, we have to get together, make an appointment. Make life easy. Right? Life is complicated enough. Make it easy. So you make that phone call. I always tell everybody the phone call should not take more than 30 minutes unless you get into long stories about what's wrong. In your partnerships, what you do not want to do is I do not want to convince Donald what is wrong with me. I do not want him to invest his time in collaborating with my less than or colluding with my less than. You got that? You do not want to make that airtime between you and your partner toxic. And it's toxic if you really want them to understand why it is I really need this prayer support, because things are really bad. You understand? The feeling that we have about something is not the truth. It's our feeling about. It is the story about it. Our job is to rise above. So in conversation this morning with somebody else in our powwow this morning, I was explaining that, you have people that are new doing this, and then you have, people who have been treating together for a while, and then you have practitioners who are brand new, and then you have practitioners who are licensed, and then you have practitioners who are licensed for years, and then you have practitioners who are ministers who are licensed for years. Now, the further up the line you go, you can fully expect, and if you don't get this, you find someone who can. But you should fully expect, because I expect, that anyone on this path is continuing to treat, continuing to do their work, continuing to heal, continuing to understand about presence. So as you are speaking to me, as you're speaking to any one of them, we are looking past what you think is the problem. We are looking past it immediately before you are done with your statement. I am knowing a truth. Everybody with me? That's not going to happen by next weekend. That's not going to happen in 2 weeks or 3 weeks unless you are a very practiced metaphysician doing your studies. This teaching is a study. It's deep. It's profound, it's effective, it's beautiful. It's a study. Ernest Holmes, Fenwick Holmes, his brothers, the founder of Science of Mind, classic stories that even years, decades after writing the book, it's published, the teaching is out, it's all around the country, they're still studying the textbook on a daily basis. He wrote it, and he's studying it. Should you and I expect to do less? So, there are many pieces of guidance. I call them guidelines on this prayer partnership. Partnership and possibility. I can't even change it, even though I said I wanted to. One of the key things is please don't give advice. Do not be a therapist, even if you are a therapist. Even if that's your training. When we believe in possibility and we lean on principle, we trust spirit. Don't give advice. Don't even tell them to take a vitamin. Don't do it. Trust their process. Trust their intelligence. That is critical. Everything on this list is pretty dang important. On the back of this, we gave you a form that you can copy. There are more of these on our website. The other one has the extra 2 steps. Remember, we're only giving you 5 here. Now, this will just help you to speak in the right direction. What I'm also suggesting is that you remember positive, affirmative, life-affirming language. And when does life change? When does principle work? It works always, but when does it work? Now. You always speak in the now. You always declare now. That's too long of an explanation. I'm just going to let you sit with that. On the other piece that we gave you, partners in possibility, I gave you 3 key things that must be present. You must be clear what you're going for. I guarantee that you do not call your local restaurant for food and say, give me something. Right? You don't do that. You call and you say, I'd like a pizza with anchovies and pepperonis, please. You do not say, give me something. Your lack of clarity in the mind of God demonstrates exactly according to that. And then you wonder why something's not showing up. You must be clear. You must be able to be in touch with the feeling tone. Is there anybody who wants more money in your life right now? Okay. So what's the feeling if suddenly I say, I wave my magic wand, and you're rich? What's the feeling that you'll have because you have that money? Freedom. Freedom, joy. I heard freedom and joy. You must realize that we think we want things. We don't want things. We want the feeling we're going to get. So we must be clear and have the feeling. Now, though, we teach you all the time, as above, so below, as within, so without. So it is, again, critical. What is the consciousness? If you say you want more money and you're going to feel joy and you're going to feel freedom, what is the consciousness you need to attract and allow this to happen? Answer, please. What? A consciousness of abundance, a consciousness of worthiness, a consciousness that you deserve to be free. So you're going to take the clarity of the thing, you're going to take the feeling tone, and then you're going to take the consciousness of. And when you treat for your prayer for your partner in possibility, when you treat with your partner in possibility, I gave you, for those of you who are total beginners, I gave you a script. I have made this as foolproof as I possibly can. I have tried to cover the bases here. Now, most of you, if you've been in classes and if you've been doing this for a while, you're not going to want that script or need the script. It is for if you're new. But what I'm suggesting that we do today, I'm going to stay a little longer in the heat. And we're going to gather, hopefully wherever the most fans are. And I want to give you an opportunity to shake the hand of someone and to agree to meet for only 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, you'll know, are you and this person that you're speaking with a good match? Is there chemistry? There's one thing about prayer partnership, there must be chemistry. If you are giving too much or they're giving too much, or if they start giving you advice or they, something happens like that, or there's a lack of confidence, you do not want to be in that partnership. Confidentiality is critical. So I'm asking you to stay, to find someone. You already have a partner in possibility? Get another one. Can there be too much help, support, love, and possibility in the world? I think not. So stay and meet someone, exchange phone numbers and emails, and commit to just 3 weeks. And after 3 weeks, just gently say, I think I'm going to look again if it doesn't work. Do not take it personally. Just move on. Why do we not take it personally? Because we don't take things personally around here. It's not personal. There has to be a chemistry. You're all with me? This is not my more inspirational thing. This is today about the pragmatic application of this teaching. I have a family member right now who's got a business issue, who's got something going on. He doesn't quite know how to figure it out. So I texted him last night and I said, babe, if there was ever a prayer call, this is it. There's nothing that cannot be better without spiritual mind treatment. Nothing. You with me? Simon, how long have you been treating out loud, darling? 50 years. He's been in this teaching 50 years. And he's still using the teaching. Yes? Okay. Hold hands if you want. It's a little hot. Let's surrender this to prayer. So let us know together right here and right now That there is a love and there's a possibility that's streaming in right now. It's streaming in through our hearts, through our minds, through our soul. It's streaming in through our willingness to be available. It is streaming in through the sweetness of Spirit and how Spirit shows up on our doorstep always, forever and always. I believe in each one of you, and I believe in your ability to know, to understand, and to never again be at the mercy of anything. The skills are at hand, the willingness, the know-how. And it is good and so very good. Let us all believe in ourselves enough that we see ourselves as a critical part of this community. Let us see ourselves as a critical part of humanity. Let us see ourselves as the one who carries the consciousness, the transformative ways in which we show up. Let us see this. Let us believe in the presence within us, because it dwells within and nowhere else. Let us, as the fruit of that tree, recognize our worthiness, praise the tree itself, and say thank you. For this truth and so much more, I am grateful. And I surrender this word to law, and so it is.